Pic-A-Talk is a mobile application for nonverbal children with special needs, helping them communicate through pictures. Pic-A-Talk is part of IdeaSpace Accelerator Program Cohort 9. Yuma Roa is the CEO and co-founder at Pic-A-Talk. So hello Yuma, we're very happy to have you and Pic-A-Talk dito sa Startup Podcast.
Hi, Johnny. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I actually know that Pic-A-Talk has a very inspiring story behind it. So I'll start with the question, ano nga ba ang Pic-A-Talk?
So Pic-A-Talk is an assistive mobile application for nonverbal children with special needs. So as you mentioned, it does have an inspiring story because it was inspired by my younger sister who has autism and speech apraxia. So growing up with her was not very easy because of the fact na my communication block kasi since due to her speech apraxia, she was not able to pronounce words correctly. Tapos also because of her autism, it took her a long time to learn how to speak verbally. So the way she would communicate was pointing, trying to articulate words. So palagi namin siyang na-misunderstand. So we're not able to immediately cater to her needs. We're not able to give her what she wants because of that communication block. So a few years ago, she actually came up with this idea of effectively communicating with us by searching on Google. So she's very good at using the computer kasi. So most of us in the family are computer majors. So I guess she got that from us. She's very good at using the computer. She knows how to use Google, Facebook, YouTube. So what she did was she would search, for example, yung biscuit na fita. So she would search that on Google, tapos she goes to images. Tapos she just calls us to the computer and then she points it there. So we kind of figured na she's very visual since she was able to memorize the spelling on the wrapper. Tapos she was able to connect it with, okay, there's letters on the keyboard, and then she kind of searched it on Google. So that's how it worked, and that's where I based Pic-A-Talk on.
Yeah, it's very amazing actually. And I'm very happy that we're featuring Pic-A-Talk in this podcast because it's kind of unique. It's a startup that caters on like a disability problem, something like that. And I'm also happy that IdeaSpace also helps this kind of startups na parang may social aspect into it. Kumbaga may impact talaga sa hindi lang into humanity but for those people na medyo nahihirapan or sometimes hindi nga fully na kumbaga cater on ng society. So, starting with this problem, paano mo naman naisip to like develop it really into an app na maaari magamit din ng iba pang tao?
So I actually studied computer science back in college. So before it was accounting, tapos I failed at that, and then I kind of shifted to computer science, and it was a very new environment for me because at first I really had no idea what computer science was about. And then we had our first major subject, which was Introduction to Software Engineering. And then we were given a project wherein we would come up with an idea or an application that would solve a daily problem that we're facing. Tapos, as someone who is, capable, content with her life, I was really stumped what kind of app would I make, what kind of problem am I supposed to solve. So that's when my mother pointed my direction to my sister, who we kind of overlooked na she has problem with communication kasi we grew up with it parang normal na lang sa amin, tapos we kind of forgot na she's really struggling in that part. So yeah, that's how I came with the idea na gagawan ko na lang ng app in order to help Leia to communicate with us effectively, and at the same time she will also start learning din to communicate.
Yeah, it's really wonderful na nagsimula din pala siya as a school project when you're a student. Yeah. Trying to solve a problem with your family member, si Leia, na actually hindi lang naman, I mean, it exists in other families. I mean, the whole society has many disabilities na dapat nating pagtuunan pa ng pansin. So may I ask, how does the app work when you designed it back when you were in college and even now? So paano siya nag-work? Ano yung picture for the possible users?
So with Leia kasi, during her speech therapy and also her special education classes, yung ginagawa kasi ng teachers niya or yung speech therapist is they're using pictures or flashcards to teach them words. So with Pic-A-Talk, we're using pictures still, pero nandun na siya sa mobile application. Tapos when you click on a picture, it produces a speech output. So it not only helps the child to identify words using pictures, pero it also helps expose them to how these words are pronounced. And then over time, they would be able to learn how to say these words themselves. Though it does not apply to all cases, kasi with children with special needs, it's a very broad na there it's a spectrum kasi, so no two cases are the same. So someone might not be able to speak verbally forever, some people might be able to catch up naman, so kind of like that.
Yeah, so basically parang dinagay mo yung Google search and may sound production, may speech production into the app. Pero I just like to ask, no, like in a startup or in an app development aspect, like anong principles yung talagang naka-embed doon sa pag-design ng app? Like for example, kasi I saw in the website that it's made to be accessible and customizable. So can you just share about these principles behind developing the app?
Okay, so the accessibility part, since it's already on a phone, so you can anywhere kasi nasa cellphone na siya and then in one phone you can have a lot of words, you can store a lot of words there. So in comparison to yung ginagamit kasi ngayon from the most schools that I've spoken with, yung ginagamit nila is communication boards. So what that is, it's printed out pictures tapos nilalagay nila sa boards, tapos that's what the child would be using to communicate. So if you could imagine they're going to continually learn words, diba? And then there's like so many words in the world. So that means that communication board is gonna get heavier and bulkier as time goes on, as their language is developing. So that would make it a lot difficult to bring around anywhere. So with Pic-A-Talk, since it's already in a phone, tapos you can store a lot of words on it, madali na lang siyang i-bring around anywhere. So it's portable and you can access a lot of words in just one small phone. Tapos yun yun yung basic na principle.
So if I may ask, no, on the customizability part, so the user can choose which words and which pictures ang nandun sa kanyang app. So meron mo doon parang siyang may sarili siyang account or may sarili siyang pwede na i-customize yung sarili niyang Pic-A-Talk app dun sa kanyang phone. Is that right?
Yes. So each user would have their own accounts. And then since, of course, as I mentioned earlier, each case will not be the same. So each child will not have the same wants and needs or interests. So very unique talaga each user. So that's why we wanted to emphasize the ability to customize their vocabulary. So the parents can upload words and categories based on their child's interests, based on what their child is usually surrounded with, ano yung nandun sa bahay nila, what their child's favorite food is, what their child's favorite toy is, and who are the people that they are usually interacting with. So those are pictures and words that they can upload into the application.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So moving forward, no, so when you develop the app, maybe ituloy natin yung story from college, and then moving forward, you formed a team. So can you just share, sino na ba yung current team na gumagawa ng Pic-A-Talk, not just the app but also like the organization or the company behind it? So can you just share about this?
Yeah, so two of my co-founders were actually my classmates in college. So one co-founder was Shiltil. He was there from the beginning when I joined the very first hackathon that I joined, which was Idea Hack. So we were also with another member, si Earl, pero he didn't last. So basically, si Shilte lang yung nag-stick until now. And then after I graduated, I started. We continued to join programs pa rin. So we joined Code for Asia. But then at that time, kasi si Shiltil nandun sa Iligan, nandito sa Iligan, and then the event was in Cagayan de Oro, and he couldn't apply for a leave sa kanyang work. So since I was already in CDO, I just had to find two other people to join my team. So I recruited one who is my classmate from college, at the same time my workmate at the time, and then another, that was Lynn, tapos si Jen was also my workmate at the time. So the three of us became a team. And so the three of us joined. The four of us formed the initial team of Pic-A-Talk na din that joined IdeaSpace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then currently we do have more members na. Kasi at the time we were all developers. So that a startup is not just an app, it's also a business. So yun, medyo it was quite difficult for us to figure out the business side of things, the financial side. So right now we've onboarded din someone to do the financial sides of these things. So I had a friend, si Eureka. She was my blockmate during my time in accounting. So she graciously volunteered to join our team. Tapos we also hired our marketing associate. And actually, our team's a bit bigger now compared to last year.
Yeah, that's what really I'm curious about, no? Kasi I mean, you're really developing Pic-A-Talk, not just an app. Kasi like if you just build an app, kaya mo mag-isa yan eh. Pero you're really building it into like a team and a company na mayroong business model. Now, I want to ask muna, no, maybe personal question as the CEO, really. Parang ano really nagda-drive sa'yo to really build Pic-A-Talk as a company or as an enterprise or as an advocacy even forward? I mean, what really motivates you to make it bigger?
Honestly, I really believe na this is my calling, I guess. Kasi I shifted to computer science quite randomly. Tapos at that time, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. Tapos during my time with computer science, I was introduced to the startup community, and then I came up with Pic-A-Talk. Tapos I got so much support, not just from my friends and family, but I also got support from my teachers and even the judges in the competitions that we joined, the mentors from IdeaSpace. We met so many people na kasi, and then they've put in so much, not just moral support. There's also been funding, and then it's like I feel like it's something that I really have to finish. Kasi wala. I've never tried to do something. I've never actually tried to do anything before. I'm not sure if you get that. Kasi before I would, like, for example, I'm an artist, and then I draw a lot. But if I draw something and I don't finish it in a day, I'm never going to finish that. I move on to the next project. So with Pic-A-Talk, this is the first project that I have na I've been sticking with for such a long time. So yeah, I'm going to really finish it. So it's not just my sister who's inspiring me, pero all the moral support and financial support that we've gotten really pushes us to continue.
Yeah, because building a startup nga, no, it's not just a sprint, it's a marathon. Mahabang journey and of exploring, validating. Yeah, let's go naman sa inyong journey with IdeaSpace, no. I think the reason why many of these yung mga competitions and yung mga funders na nagsusupport sa Pic-A-Talk is because they also believe in the same purpose of helping these people with special needs. So, regarding the IdeaSpace program, so maybe can you just share how really did you got into the program and ano yung natutunan nyo? How did it help you? Ano yung naging benefit to Pic-A-Talk, especially maybe yung business side of it?
Yeah, so we were actually incubated by CDO Bytes, which is an incubation hub in USTP in Cagayan de Oro. Tapos, they provided us with mentorships. They also provide us connections with Kubo. And so they also send us like events that we can join. So like what I mentioned earlier, yung Code for Asia, they were the ones who introduced us to that event. So IdeaSpace was one of the events that they introduced to us. Tapos, at the time kasi pandemic na yun eh. So, we were all stuck at home. We were supposed to go school to school at that time, pero that kind of stopped because of the pandemic and nag-close yung schools kasi nag-face-to-face class, ay nag-virtual classes na. So, we had no idea how to move forward. Tapos when we found out na completely online yung programs na inintroduce ng CDO Bytes, we decided to apply to as many as possible, you know. We're not there's nothing we can lose naman eh, di ba? It's if we get accepted, then that's great. If we don't get accepted, then we'll try again next time. Wala namang mawawala sa amin. So yun, we applied to IdeaSpace. We didn't really expect to get accepted kasi we've applied to other programs din before and we got rejected. So yeah, we were really happy nga na we were accepted on to IdeaSpace kasi when I was a student, yun lang, sticker lang yung nakukuha ko sa IdeaSpace. So it was really surreal na we got in the program kasi usually it's a physical event tapos nandun sa Luzon and I'm in Mindanao, so the fare, the expenses that I would have to fund, it was something that would hold me back before, and because it was online, we got the amazing opportunity to be a part of it.
Yeah, so maybe what are like the greatest lessons that you have learned or that IdeaSpace has imparted upon you in building Pic-A-Talk?
So many. I guess we really got a lot of mentorship talaga with the business side of things. Although medyo nakaka-pressure talaga yun. Kasi we were devs eh, so we had no idea what we were doing. So medyo slow yung pag-intindi namin with the business side of things. So yeah, we got, of course, some comments were harsh, pero we learned to take the criticism and really apply it to become better. So I guess that's one thing that we learned with IdeaSpace. That it's not they're not just gonna give you flowery words. They're not gonna keep on complimenting you all the time. They're really going to be upfront with you what you need to work on. So I really appreciate that with the program. So other things that we learned, mostly talaga on the business side. Kasi from what they've told us, okay na yung tech. Kasi yung what I didn't realize at the time, I have the tendency kasi to lean towards the tech, to the development. So napapabayaan ko yung business side. So our mentors kept telling me na okay na yung tech, leave it alone, concentrate on the business side. So yeah, I guess that's a self-reflection that I got from IdeaSpace.
Yeah, but it's true, no? Because when you're developing or building a startup, it's really not just the technology part, not just the app maybe, not just the tech, but also yung business model na magsusustain ng tech na to such that magagamit siya ng mas marami pang tao and kumbaga tuloy-tuloy yung operations and even yung improvement ng app mismo in the future. Yeah. So let's talk about naman yung validation ninyo ng Pic-A-Talk. So ano na ba yung like milestones? I mean, gano'n na ba karami yung gumagamit ng Pic-A-Talk maybe? And even parang napakita niya ba or na-prove or na-validate na ba na talagang easy and convenient to use ito for these people with special needs? I mean, can you just share some experiences about that?
Yeah, so one thing pala na we learned from IdeaSpace is how to validate our product. So that was the first time kasi na completely digital eh. And we were, as I mentioned, we were completely stuck kasi we were supposed to go school to school and then we weren't able to do that because of the pandemic. Tapos with IdeaSpace, they provided us with a mentor who is also kind of in the same space. Either for startup nila for people with hard of hearing or deaf people yung product nila. So with that, since we got a mentor who is in the same space with us, she gave us a lot of tips on how to get our product validated, who to reach out to, what questions to ask, and so on and so forth. So she was able to connect us with schools and people and centers who would be able to benefit from Pic-A-Talk. So through IdeaSpace, we were able to meet with a lot of speech language pathologists, a lot of special education teachers. And through these schools, we were able to meet with the parents din, who are the actual users din kasi ng app eh. So we were able to get feedback from them on what is their current communication methods with their kids, what are the challenges that they're facing, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and regarding the business side and yung business model part na to, if I may just ask ka, parang paano nyo dire-design yung business side na to? And is it challenging developing the business model? Because I can imagine, like, I'm not sure, this is just my opinion, but building this ability service startup may not be that easy to build, especially on the business side. So can you just share some insights on this?
Yeah, extremely difficult. We had to pivot a lot of times during our stay with IdeaSpace. So at first it was a subscription basis. Tapos we pivoted to institutional na subscriptions so that the schools would be the one to purchase the app. And then we moved again to B2B2C, wherein we'll just partner with schools pero yung customers namin talaga is yung parents pa rin. So there was a lot of pivoting going on, and that was mainly because walang nakatutok talaga sa business side eh. Kasi all of the members were only working on Pic-A-Talk part-time kasi we all had our full-time jobs. So wala talaga nakatutok, tapos ako lang mag-isa. I had to do everything as a CEO. I had to do public relations. I had to keep track of the financials. I had to do market research and all of that. So I was trying to put on too many hats on my head. So I think that's one of the challenges that we faced. So after our experience, after I learned na it's really important to have someone who is already familiar with doing marketing, doing market research. It's really great to have someone who's already experienced in accounting, who really knows how to create financial forecasts and so on. So that's why right now I've already recruited people for that, and it's such a relief. it's such a the load on my shoulders has been relieved.
Yeah, and I guess like those money that you use, I mean, nanggagaling mo sa mga funding ng mga grants na nakukuha niyo before, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I may just add my own personal opinion, I'm not sure about this, pero I think with regard to Pic-A-Talk's business model, kasi it caters on a specific, like a niche, like a disability niche. In my understanding, a business model is a business model because doon mo malalaman or makuha kung sino yung magsusustain ng startup or ng operations ng startup. But when I think about it, should those people na may extra needs, may needs na nga ang magsusustain ng startup, or should the model be like subsidy from maybe government, NGOs, or some donations or something like that? Parang kumbaga, parang ita-transfer natin yung pera from those capable to those not, I wouldn't say disabled pero yun nga, those people with special needs maybe. What do you think about this?
Yes, we have tried looking into that din na route. So right now we're still working on talaga on how we'll be able to sustain the business. So one of the ideas that we have is to partner with the NGOs, with government with the government sector to be able to help with providing the application to people who really need it. So yun, I guess to answer your question, of course there are people who would be able to afford, and there are also those who may not have that capability. So, yun, we did talk about this with mentors. Tapos, they did suggest do something like cross-subsidization, wherein a group of people would pay in order to provide for um, people who are less fortunate or people who really deserve to have access to the application but they can't for some reason. So yun, that's one thing that we have considered in.
Yeah, and I think it's really hard and really challenging kasi nga this is also an advocacy startup kumbaga eh. Hindi siya kasi I mean
Yeah.
some startups na madali maging profitable because they get money from the rich. I mean their business models are from the rich. Anyway, what I now want to ask is that what do you think about the state of inclusivity in the Philippines? I mean enough na ba or kulang pa ba yung like awareness and maybe parang societal acceptance ng mga tao to these people with special needs. What do you think about this?
I think kulang pa rin, especially here in the Philippines. I think na there is still a lack of awareness to the different disabilities that some of the citizens may have. So like in the case of my sister, when you first look at her, they would say na hindi mo makikita na autistic siya. Pero like, what is she supposed to look like eh? No, something like that. So the case kasi with autism, it's a spectrum as I mentioned earlier. So no two cases would be the same. So for my sister's case, she's nonverbal. But there are also people with autism who are capable of communicating verbally. So something like that to that extent. So I do get asked like if yung anak ba nila is autistic or do I think they are autistic, and then I can't answer that kasi that's not something na you can just tell kasi they're all very different, so you would really have to check with a developmental pediatrician to have your child diagnosed with autism if you really want to be sure. Tapos I guess the stigma around the different disabilities din, no? Na like for example, I read somewhere with an airport na yung flight attendant hindi daw niya she didn't allow the kid to go through sa airplane kasi nga the kid was autistic, tapos based on her personal experience daw magwa-wild yung bata. Well, that's not the case for everyone eh. And then I guess yung sa autistic children lang talaga, we just have different they have different hypersensitivity, so they could be hypersensitive to the lights, they could be hypersensitive to sounds or to touch, kaya they have reactions na most people can't understand. Pero if you just give time to understand them, you would, like for example for example if you're eating something na you don't like, ano yung reaction mo, di ba? You would show disgust, you would really react in a certain way. So that's just the same with them eh. Maybe just it at a higher capacity, it's just something that you can't comprehend. So yun, I just don't want people to immediately jump to conclusions when they hear children with autism na ganito yan sila or something like that. Tapos yeah, and there's also a lot of stigma still with using technology as a tool kasi yun nga yung kaka-computer mo yan or bawal yung too much screen time. Of course, there should really be a balance talaga, pero I think it's high time we use technology to our advantage kasi so we have technology, we use it for communication naman, di ba? Even on social media and so on. Pero that's something na the majority can use. What about something for the for people with disabilities? What can they use in order to have a quality life, in order to live comfortably, in a way na they won't have to depend on other people. So yeah, that's what I want to come across.
Yeah, that's really those are really good words. If I may just add an observation regarding that stigma, no. I'm currently based in Taiwan, and parang when I commute, when I walk outside, ang dami ko nakikitang mga people with disabilities. Tapos napaisip ako parang mas marami ba ang people with disabilities sa Taiwan kaysa sa Pilipinas when I was back in the Philippines. And then I realized it's not the amount, it's not the quantity, but maybe yung acceptance. Kasi kumbaga dito sa Taiwan,
Yeah.
somehow the trains or even the buildings, mas marami na yung mga, I mean, for example, with wheelchair users, yung mga ramps, and then mas accepted basically ng society, mas yun nga, walang protocols for excluding some of these people with autism. Maybe kumbaga dahil sa, I mean, it's like a selection bias, kumbaga parang dahil mas accepted sila in society, akala ko lang mas marami, pero yun pala, it's normal, kumbaga nagiging normalized na.
Yeah. I also read something about that, no, na in order for a place to be inclusive, you have to provide for everyone talaga, hindi lang for the majority. So yeah, for example, providing ramps so people who are using wheelchairs can easily go from one place to another. So yeah, basically with Pic-A-Talk din, that's what we want to do, providing a voice to the voiceless, so they don't, kasi they do have a voice, they have something to say, they're thinking something, they're still human, they just have this obstacle that they have to overcome. And like every one of us, each and every one of us have obstacles in life. So yun. One thing that I also noticed din is that a lot of people are still have a hard time accepting. So I'm just gonna talk about autism kasi yun yung that's just my personal experience kasi I have a sister. So with our case, we're pretty much open about my sister being autistic. So if people ask, we tell them, oh, she's autistic, and it's not something that we are ashamed of. But then it's something that I overlook kasi to us it's normal na. But then when I joined Facebook groups of parents who have kids with autism, I realized that some of them are still not open about it. I also have friends na yung pinsan niya has autism. Tapos I actually I wanted to invite them din to join our podcast kasi we also have a podcast. Tapos sabi niya she would not advise to do that kasi yung tita niya at saka yung tito niya, they don't want people to know that their cousin is autistic. So parang ganun, I didn't realize na there's still this stigma, especially here, na people are still trying to hide it. It's something that they're still ashamed of, but it's really not something to be ashamed of. It's something that we should all accept so that we can help solve whatever obstacles. We can help them overcome the obstacles that they are facing. Kasi it's very different. And I guess that's one thing that makes it difficult when we're doing market research kasi there's not that much data that we can find. It's very scarce yung data kasi not a lot of people are open about it. So yun.
Actually, yeah, I really think it boils down to inclusivity, no? And what you said earlier about the use of technology towards inclusivity. Kasi, kumbaga, pag normalize na yung technology that these people with special needs can use, mas madaling ma-normalize sa society, kumbaga. So, let's just end this conversation with, ano nga ba ang parang long-term vision ni Pic-A-Talk as an app, as a company, and maybe I just want to ask, do you think more startups should champion inclusivity?
Yeah. So, yung mission talaga with Pic-A-Talk is to develop technology to improve the lives of those who need it the most. So, right now we're starting with children, non-verbal children with special needs. But hopefully, we are looking to expanding to helping more than this community. So other people with disabilities then. And then as for if I think startups should champion inclusivity, of course, we need more of that. Kasi I do most of the startups that I've been batchmates with on the different programs that I've joined. There's startups for environment, there's startups for health, there are startups for finances, and it's very anong tawag nito very rare to see startups that are for people with disabilities. So yeah, I think na people should start championing for inclusivity kasi that's really something that we need din here, especially here in the Philippines.
Yeah, actually, and these are the problems we really need to solve as a society. Yeah. So thank you, Yuma, for this conversation. It's really inspiring and it's really enlightening and changing, transformative, kumbaga. Yeah. So if our listeners want to know more about Pic-A-Talk, so where can they get more information, or maybe they want to download the app, where can they download it? So yeah.
So we do have a website, so you can just visit www.picatalk.com. We're also on Facebook. That's where we are most active. Tapos the app is actually available now on Google Play. So if you have an Android device, you can download it. Just search for Pic-A-Talk AAC. Ganun yung spelling. Don't forget the dashes. And then and then we are also starting a Facebook group din for all of our users so that we can really tackle in whatever issues that they found with the app and whatever feedback that they have for us, so we can easily communicate with them. So if you guys want to join that, you can search it on Facebook like that.
Yeah, so for the parents, especially that want to use this app, that may really help them. So yeah, so maraming salamat Yuma for this conversation at Startup Podcast, knowing more about Pic-A-Talk. It's really wonderful. Yeah. So I really wish you good luck towards this advocacy of championing inclusivity. So maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much to our 18 patrons. This episode is super powered by NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. Looking for buy and sell online with Sigurado sellers, and Benjoy's Food Products, the home of premium bacon ends, tapa, and tocino. This episode is powered by ePlayment, Interleukin, and ROC.ph. Support us at www.patreon.com/startuppodcastph.